you know, if you're here, we'll do our little chat and we'll do some pack ripping and talk about everything going on. And if you need to work on you know, API stuff or getting the fantasy sheets up or anything of that nature, don't feel bad. Take care of what you got to. GM, ladies, gentlemen, and fantasy top enjoyers. Welcome to another exciting episode of Fantasy Top Down presented by Metaverse HQ. Once again, I have been rugged by my Scottish co-host, Big Ezrin. He's doing a whole bunch of big brain dev work here in the States, so he's taking some meetings right now. But we have someone as equally big brained and equally a dev joining us today. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back esteemed guest and really, in my opinion, the top fantasy top builder in the entire space, Web3, the game, however you want to quantify it, the Molt. Welcome back, the Molt. How you doing this morning, man?
Oh, what's up? I'm scrambling. Trying to figure out technical issues. Kipit rugged my fantasy suits data extract process, and I'm trying to figure out what happened and what.
Rug,
So,
rug, rug, rug.
yep. But I'm good. Other than that,
Good to hear, man. Good to hear. I mean, now this might be too simple of a fix, but have you tried putting your VPN in somewhere in France and seeing if the API works? Because that just might do the trick.
yeah, I don't know. I might need to get on a plane and go travel to France or Lisbon and go work in the office or something and set up the fantasy sheets computer over there.
Have some proxies running over in France 24/7 for you to run everything off of.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, thank you for joining us, man. As you're tinkering in the background there, excited just to have you and your expertise. Hear how you did. But otherwise, let's dive in. We just completed main number 44 in Fantasy Top, ladies and gentlemen. Big week. Rewards are not out yet, I believe. So we are just kind of trolling the site right now, looking at some marketplace activity, seeing who's stars have changed the most, a little buying, a little selling. So I'm just gonna jump right into it here and see if I can look at this past week's. Here we go. Our summary. I'd be remiss if I didn't shout out right here in silver our guy, Big E Ezrin, taking home first and second place. Absolutely crushing it. So funny that, in my opinion, he's one of the top, 5 or 10 players of the entire fantasy top game. And yet, he's busy working a day job during all of it. He does all of this in the background, really just for fun, and he is still that good. I love to see it. It's just so great. Let's go down here. Oh, no data yet. Come back later. Lovely. Let's try one more thing. Okay, well, not great. I was gonna pull up just the rankings of a leaderboard from this past main 44 because I wanted to look at a couple of really some of the top performers that we had. Namely Big Z, Mr. Zeneca himself. Let's see if it's reflected in his chart here. Yep, we see that pop down here from 89 to he finished in first place, his very first week as the first place hero. So congrats to Zeneca. First place is not easy to come by, and I believe he also, because of that, he got first place in the bronze competition. So big week for both Zeneca himself and all Zeneca holders. Really taking it home there. So that's great to see. Not for me. I'm under invested into Zeneca by a lot, but maybe this is what it'll take for me to really get some and double down on some of his consistency. Because when he's back and posting, I mean, he really is a great account to follow. So we've had Zeneca in first place there. Another couple to shout out. We can see them. We see one right here. Scroll down. We see another here and a third right there. Those Bodago boys, again, they all crushed it. I want to say, because I know these are the gliding, I believe, 7-day scores, so they're not completely reflective of where they finished in the most recent tournament. But I believe all of the Bodagos finished within the top 30 this past week. So that is no easy feat by a long shot. I believe Clemente was in the top 10, and the other two were just in the top 30. So love to see that. Great scores from all three of them. And now you see, kind of their stars have changed to reflect that. We've got Easy as a 6, NFT Nick as a 6, and Clemente up here as an 8-star. So might have a little less viability and utility in some of the the star capped competitions, but still great cards to hold week in week out. Let's actually see. Let's click in here and see exactly. Yep, we had Clemente finishing in 4th place. Giant week. So awesome for Clemente holders. Nick himself finished, 30th, right on the dot, which means Easy was probably right outside the top. Yeah, 37th. Okay, so I mean, really just a great trio to have there. Kind of, you see charts are a little all over the place, right? High week, low week, high week, low week, really high week, pretty low week. But we've had a little more consistency here recently in the last probably 2-ish months. Floor being around 64, 60th place, ceiling being really a top 10 hero for any of them, right? We've got Easy, who is 6th place. We have, NFT Nick, who, he's gotten a 3rd place, a 5th place, a 7th place. I think Nick does kind of have the best ability to go viral out of all of them with his videos, which sometimes are genuinely funny, sometimes are a little more cringe inducing than others, but he's not afraid to get into a beef, whether it's with Dave Portnoy or the local bodega runner or operator down the street. So definitely like Nick, probably the most out of the three of those, just because I think he does have the highest ceiling consistently out of all of them. Oh, not bold. But looking at this, actually, Clemente has hit some really high ones as well. 10th, 16th, 10th, 7th, 7th, 4th. So honestly, I might be revising that strategy in real time as we speak. Yeah. So we've had Zeneca, we had the Clemente and the Bodago boys, and the other one I'd be remiss if I didn't probably note here is Soul Jakey himself. Obviously, a bit more expensive when you're comparing, just rare cards by themselves or market caps as a whole. Jakey here, I mean, really, outside of when the LA vape cabal kind of the madness was going on with the Argentina Libra coin, he kind of dipped down here into 120s. But outside of that, he had been a pretty darn near top 30 bang on hero, going as high as ninth, 7th, and even got 8th place this past week because he had a couple funny videos memeing on the morning routine guy, which had its own meme coin and had a spotlight there. Um, so yeah, big week for Soul Jakey. I did consider trying to pick him up here on a bid, but went with some of the other LA Vape Cabal guys and got a little burned with it this past week. So you never love to see that. And after our conversations last week, I did go out and make some marketplace buys. Picked up a rare Waz, which performed very well. I mean, 20th place, loved that. But did have where is he? I did pick up a rare thread guy where he went from 9th all the way back down to last 158th. So not great buying there, but we got a great 1-star, right? So I'll probably throw him in some silver, maybe even a gold lineup, and hope if he posts at all, a rare 1-star of thread guy really is kind of an OP card. So pair him with a 2-star Taiki or even a 3-star Kaleo, and I think you've got the basis for some really strong silver or gold lineups there that can overperform. So yeah,
Yeah, was Jakey the kind of the I'm trying to think of now he was one of the heroes where he kind of was trending heading in to the start of Maine. He had his morning routine
yep,
video, and that kind of trickled over into good scoring during the main. So having sort of that paying attention to that 24-hour score and kind of seeing the content that he posted and thinking that it would carry over. And what was he? He was a 6-star, if I recall. So
yeah, I
you
think
had
so.
6-star with an upside to like 8-star performance. So that was a scooping up. I had a comment that I used, and I don't think I prioritized Jakey over Uni PCS,
Hmm.
but yeah, that would have been a smart play is to pick up some Jakeys there and use with this being a 6-star can score like an 8. But the other, it was interesting to kind of see the other trend was the Chat GPT anime style art thing kind of took over basically and catapulted a lot of heroes. No, nothing that you could have seen coming into the week. It totally just random.
Dude, spot on. I love that analysis. I mean, you're so right. Like the first half of the week, I know the competition's only 4 days, right? Monday through Thursday morning for me here in PST, but the first half was dominated by the morning routine stuff, and you can see here, Jakey's post got almost 16 million views. Like, good lord. Um, that was the
Yeah.
first half, probably Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday into yesterday, we really switched over into the anime, Chat GPT, Ghibli kind of PFP mania. I mean, you had two massive trends there that you could have never seen coming, right? They had nothing to do with crypto, really, nothing to do with, this project is launching, this chain is going live, or this token. Nothing that we try to anticipate. It was just two kind of memes being born, and I mean, at that point, right? It's who can meme it the best. Jakey definitely has that meme bone in his body, as does Greg and some. I think we see a lot of them. And then yeah, like you said, we just saw just massive anime PFPs coming from every direction, and I think that really catapulted a lot of heroes that we saw in that last 24-hour sprint, where a lot of a lot of rankings I feel like changed pretty volatilely. Yep. Well, now is the part of the program where normally I would go into some pack ripping, but we still have nothing from those lovely devs. So I will continue to wait not so patiently.
Yeah, I don't think it will. Let me see here. Yeah, it's probably going to be at least another 30 minutes, I'd say.
Oh,
Just
okay.
30, yeah, 30 minutes to an hour probably.
Is that just based on your best estimations? Are you seeing some back end
Oh, I,
stuff
I
going
can,
on,
yeah,
or
I can see a little bit.
okay?
Nobody else can see. Yeah.
Mr. the Molt, the eye in the sky of Fantasy Top, giving us the boots on the ground alpha, folks.
Yeah.
Truly nothing better than that.
There was a weird issue where somebody's card in their deck disappeared. So instead of having
Oh,
five valid cards, we had four. I don't know how it happens, but that
oh,
caused a little bit of
weird. Yeah,
technical difficulty.
I don't think I've ever heard of that happening so far in our nearly year-long journey of this game. That's kind of crazy.
Um,
Hmm, interesting. Well, I hope that gets resolved. And knowing the lovely devs over in Lisbon, I'm sure they're right on it because they really are just super responsive, and they care for the product, the community, the users. So I'm sure it'll be made right. I'm not worried in any regard really. Well, in that case, I'm just going to move into our next section here, just kind of, the news and updates section, um, which really wasn't a ton of news this past week, Molt. Maybe, you've probably got a little bit of insider track there, which I'm not going to pry into. Um, didn't see a lot of announcements or a lot of tweets really from the team about, usually they're teasing some stuff, they're giving some sneak peeks, or maybe this is around the corner. I think most people are still kind of hoping for new heroes, right? That was teased a few weeks ago by Travis. So I know they're not going to tease something without an explicit product or deliverable on the other end of that. So I'm sure they already have their new heroes kind of handpicked, probably even onboarded if I had to guess. So just gonna wait patiently, gonna sit on my hands and hope we get some bangers really kind of brought into the fold here, because that's been one of my favorite things with Fantasy Top is when they brought in the tranches of new heroes the past few times. Always a couple of heroes I've honestly never even seen across crypto Twitter. I can add them to my watch list, get some sometimes educational, sometimes just funny meme content, but I do enjoy just kind of being introduced to new Twitter personalities that way.
yeah.
So I will keep my speculation within my own head of who I hope to see and who and probably be disappointed by that as I usually am, but that's all right. Something I did want to go over here, and if you're if you're taking a break from your coding, please feel free, chime in, let me know what you think. But I did kind of use, and it's tough here without the visual aid of looking at my own lineups, but so I'll just have to try my best to talk through it. I did go for a new strategy this week where instead, normally I put my best cards into one heavy hitting lineup, right? So that's both of my legendaries, DCF and Marusha, and kind of whoever my trending epics are. So that would have been like Min, Adam Cochran, maybe Davis, maybe Pentoshi, maybe base 16Z, the rare there. And I just, I go for broke with one baller lineup and let the rest of the chips fall where they may, right? Try and fit them into silver, some gold. But I've long since kind of believed in trying to get one S tier lineup at the top. This week, kind of dialed it back a little bit and spread the wealth where I had 4 or 5 elite lineups and I was just trying to see if I couldn't get all of them into, top 100, top 150, where we're getting some, some decent minimum ETH rewards, right? Not just fragments and cards and fan points, but really going for, the 0.02, 0.04 kind of minimum ETH a few times. That really is what I was shooting for. I think ultimately my lineups were a little flawed. I had 2 top 100s, I believe, and another just outside of it. But I think in spreading them a little thinner with the fourth and fifth lineups, I think I probably could have moved 1 or 2 of the epics that were in those into those top 3 and probably would have performed just a little bit more optimally. So I'm gonna have to go back to the drawing board as I'm kind of putting stuff together this week. But I was encouraged. I was encouraged by what I saw, and I do think there is an avenue there for me to be a little more broad with some of my top cards, right? Like one legendary in one lineup, my other one in a second lineup, throw 2 or 3
Yeah.
or epics in the third lineup, have a rare base 16Z with all of them kind of in that Clayton Mooney where you've got one or two stellar cards you're putting in all your lineups and really just fill out the rest there with a rare Kook, a rare Luca, a rare Waz. Yeah. So just curious on your thoughts if you have any. Mo, are you a fan of that kind of trying to spread out your best cards to min cash all over the place? Are you more of a go heavy with your best ones and really hope you can get a top 10, top 20, top 50 finish? Because I know you've been nailing those recently, man. You've gotten top finish after top finish for a few weeks there. So just curious, where your head's at on those kind of differing strategies and viewpoints.
I have not had. I did have some luck. My streak ended. It's over. But yeah, what I had 2 top 15s in bronze, and then I had like a 2,300, 900. And my inventory and play style is kind of set up more for bouncing between silver and bronze, but usually
Mm,
prioritizing silver because their rewards are better in silver. Plus, you need less luck, if you could call it that, in silver. Less random things happen there.
mm-hmm.
So I don't really my elite strategy is pretty much kind of my leftover cards that don't get me in the ETH in
Gotcha.
silver or bronze when I'm doing my opto. So I'll kind of run the optimizer and go back and forth between silver and bronze. Which one's going to get me better rewards? I'll always try to put something competitive in bronze. Um, and but usually I'm prioritizing silver. So like what to do in elite? Yeah, I mean, I, I'm usually just farming frags in elite. I don't really have a good idea there.
Hey, but that's a completely valid strategy, right? Optimize for a tier by itself, right? Whether it's silver or bronze, kind of depending on where your stars are sitting that week, right, for your better cards, and go for broke there. And I think you've definitely showed that you can fine tune that kind of strategy. You can right, like you said, you had 2 top 15s in a row, something along those lines, like. I mean, I think the proof is in the pudding there. And when you're hitting even semi consistent reward levels like that, you just follow up on that, right? And I think you've done a great job showing kind of how you can stay flexible while also maintaining kind of a general strategy.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, here I am, 45 weeks in, nearly a year of fantasy top, just completely switching up everything I'm doing. So, kids, don't try this at home. It is not recommended. I just it is fun for me. I feel like, right? We've had almost going on a year now of fantasy, so I've definitely had solid return on investment from my prior strategy of going for broke and elite. I mean, I've had finishes within the top 15 on elite, right? And I've had great ETH rewards that way. I think that whatever that is, 0.15 maybe just from that one lineup. So definitely feeling good about that. If I had to go back to it, still have the cards for it with some of these top four and filling it out, like I said, with a Pentoshi or a based carbon or even a base 16Z. um but yeah, just my got a fair few stable of some rares and other kind of mid to lower tier epics here, so not afraid to shake it up and just see what sticks, right? I'm never gonna shy away from that, because all it takes is 1 week, and you look like Ezrin coming up with nearly half an ETH of straight up ETH rewards because he finished first and second in silver, like the
Wow.
mad lad.
He that's crazy. He earned more ETH this one main than like the last four combined.
Yeah, I,
That's that's awesome.
when you put it into perspective like that, man, it's really kind of crazy. I'm just
And that's these are the wins that kind of keep people coming back, right? Like you'll be grinding, thinking, I'm not getting anywhere, I'm not doing good, I'm not getting better, and then bam, you'll hit it, and it's you addicted right back again. You just want to
yep,
keep on going.
just that little hit of dopamine, to say wow, like, and it shows you can do it, right? It might take 44 weeks, but it takes a lot of strategy and, like you said earlier, a little bit of luck, sometimes a lot of luck, to get that perfect combination. So if you can do it one time, you can reproduce those results. So that's the name of the game in my book. Just stay consistent, keep coming in every week, do your best. And this right here, I'm showing it on my screen, but Ezrin had a tweet yesterday where he had the entire podium for silver. He had first, second, and
We
third.
pulled a Mooney from last week.
I
Yeah,
know.
1, 2, 3 at one point in time.
Uh-huh. So it didn't quite
But he
finish.
so good.
No, sorry, what was that?
I was gonna say, did Ezrin? I wonder if he has any um, Helios or DBs and like intentionally didn't play them, or because those were some of the traps. DB was a trap. I feel like Kaleo 1 star was a trap.
Yeah. I mean, I think we have the mad lad himself. Big Ez, you there?
Yo, how we doing?
Oh,
Oh, cometh the man, cometh the hour. GM, bro.
Yeah, sorry, man, I'm missing you again this week, but yeah, I thought I would jump on just for like 5 minutes and just see how you guys were doing. I've got a
De-
little break in what I'm up to this week, so I was thought I would come and say hello for 10 minutes, see what you guys are up to.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate you stopping by. I know it's a big week in the Bay with you right now, hands on. So love that you're getting some time with your coworkers there. But funny enough, if you can't see my screen that I'm sharing, I am reading your tweets right now from the epic finish that you had this week. Congrats, bro.
holy smokes!
Yeah, it was a bit wild to be honest. I can't actually see my screen, but yeah, I couldn't believe that because you messaged me yesterday. And you were like, "Oh, looking good," and I was like, "Yeah, looking good." I think I saw that I was like doing pretty well, and it was only when I looked and I was like, "I don't understand. Why does it say I'm at like 1, 2, and 3?" I was like, "This is so weird, man." Yeah, so crazy. I don't know how that happened, but the fact that there were very vastly different decks as well. It wasn't
Yes.
like I didn't like do a Clayton where it was like literally horse, Ico, da 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 da. Where once he kills it, he kills it like tenfold. These were kind of split up, so I don't know how that worked, but yeah, my God, it was looking a bit crazy for the like the whole of silver, but I just was not convinced it was going to stick. It just
Mhm.
with everything in fantasy, like getting to day two and looking good is one thing, but even if it's still like 18 hours on the clock or whatever, there's a great chance that it could just all fall apart. Um, but yeah, luckily two stuck, and the third one dropped to sixth, so I was still seriously happy with that.
That is amazing, man. That is, and that, like, I'm, a little disappointed that we can't go back and look at, specific lineups because rewards aren't live yet. But that is something I noticed before I messaged you yesterday that your lineups were so different. Like, I I don't know how you did it, but you got damn near the perfect combination 3 different times. Like I just, my hat's off to you. I'm clapping over here in the background. Just well done, man. You absolutely crushed it.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, it was for sure my best week, like by a long shot. I don't think I think I like close to doubled my best rewards. Like it wasn't too far off doubled. So after playing how many weeks? Is 42, 43? Was that
40
43?
that was 44. We just finished up.
Yeah, I mean 44 weeks to even get to like to have that win. Let's see if it happens again, but for
Mhm.
sure, absolutely insane. Super happy. Thank you to everyone who messaged as well. Like I got a bunch of shouts from, I think it was Captain Dank was the first to message about it, and then there was a few
Yeah.
other people that also put some nice messages. So yeah, thank you everyone, and yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Congrats, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't even know how it happened, but yeah, we'll take it.
That it's so, I know we bring it up a lot, and it almost gives me feelings of, like 2021 NFT mania, right? With like wag me and we're all gonna win, blah blah blah. But it really does feel that way in this game, right? Where Ezrin, even though you literally you took ETH away from other players by winning, right? Like if you won it, they can't win it, and yet you still got nothing but well wishes, congratulations. Like I didn't see any, not literally not a single person on the timeline salty, upset, jealous, like, oh, rah, 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 like, oh, it's a Wales game. Oh, it's the same guy winning every week. Like it was just pats on the back and like high fives. And I like it seemed like genuinely everyone was so, chuffed for you. And like, yeah, we can all say that, but it really is, wholesome to feel that way that in something that really is PvP, it doesn't feel that way.
Yeah, and I think because it is a bit up to chance, like, it's a gamble every week. You can Everyone has their own way. Like you can go safe, you can go a bit crazy. Like I had plenty of decks that had Intuito. I think I've got like 7 Intuito rares. They all got like they fucked 7 lines. I had tons of DBs. I even played 5 Franks and Thread guys. There's a bunch of this was one of those things where I kind of go into it thinking if one of these hits, that's going to be good. It's going to, I'm going to do well. The other ones might fall, and then I know people chase ELO as well, um, so they're not as keen on playing that strategy. But like this was a weird one because like when it worked out well, it worked out super well. And these weeks do come along. They can also you can also have weeks where it goes the opposite. Like there was a bunch of crazy stars that aligned for this. Like so many big dogs didn't tweet. Some people who were like mid cards absolutely ripped to the top of the leaderboard. And yeah, I had Heart, I had Zeneca. I thought, to be honest, I thought Heart was past their best. Zeneca, I always trusted. Like I went pretty heavy on Zeneca. Um, I always respected his content, and if he writes quality content, he tends to get good pickup. So that's what
Hmm.
happened here. He was like one of the biggest ones to pick up the Studio Ghibli meta that I suppose took off yesterday. Yeah, super lucky. Some of these guys pulled it out, and I was pretty stacked on some of their cards. So yeah, really happy with that.
Yeah, man. I think you raise a great point there. Like, obviously, we see your first and second place, and even your sixth place lineups all in silver, and like, wow, he knows he hits every single time. What a genius! And you are. Like, I was telling the Molt before you got on. I mean, I legitimately think you're one of the top 5 or 10 players in this entire game in the world. Like you're the things I've seen you do week in, week out for a year now. At a certain point, it's not luck, it's not chance, it's skill, right? And like you said, there is some luck and chance to get it, to get the stars to align. But if you're consistently doing it every couple of weeks, I do think that shows there is some proof in your process. But the point you raised that I really agree with is that no one sees all those lineups that didn't do well, right? The ones where you put in an Intuitio or you put in a thread guy, the ones that they just kind of, if they hit, they're going to be great. But if they don't, you're going to look kind of like a fool and it's going to tank the whole lineup out of getting any rewards. So
Yeah,
I,
yeah. I feel lucky as well to be able to even chance some of those cards because from day one, I just never sold. I got my frags, which weren't frags at the time; they were cards. I just rolled and rolled and rolled and rolled to get to the place I am now. So, um, yeah, to be able to like throw extra lines out there just as like bait,
mhm.
see if it sticks, see if it doesn't, without feeling like I'm necessarily putting too much on the line. Like, I would say people shouldn't fade the mid range cards too much. Like, I think there's a lot of value in mid. I think this week shows you that. And so if you don't have a huge budget and you don't want to splash out on one card and you want to pick up maybe a few more mid cards, those things can farm you frags every week. You can roll and roll and roll those until you maybe get 5 of a particular one, then you upgrade that. You can still sell and like align some of the things that you've got there, but there's that has been my tactic. Like if you look at a load of what I've got, it is a large amount of mid cards, few top ones, a lot of bottom ones, and it's a numbers game. It's like it's a quantity over quality in a lot of senses. And if you look at how everyone plays, I am not one of the it's not how most people play. But yeah, it's been working for me, and I'm going to stick with it.
Yeah, I think those are all great points, right? You've accumulated. I mean, scrolling through here, right? Like it's not like I see a bunch of Ansem epics and legendary Gregs and stuff like that. It's good cards, like you said, right? Easy epic, Heart rare, Mert rare, Clemente rare, Pentoshi epic, GG rare, Min rare, Davis and DCF epics, right? But just a lot of solid quality there that, like you said earlier, if you put the pieces together enough times over the weeks, months, years, hopefully, that we hope to be playing this game, right? You will hit, you will get close or right on the money eventually. But the big part of that is you got to have the stable of heroes that you can swap in and out, move around. It take advantage of when, they have a bad week and they're low stars to put them in to supplement a lineup, right? Like there's just so many moving parts, so many intricacies here. And yeah, like again, we've been in that fantasy top channel for a year now in MVHQ, and I've always been impressed with how you manage your lineups, your portfolio, your winnings. You go from strength to strength. I mean, Epic makes you down here. A few months ago, I would have sold that into a bid probably just because I was upset. But now he has a very defined play style, knowing how to take advantage of that. Like it's all so incredibly important. But
All right, so
Yeah,
I've got a. If Ezra's got another few minutes, I got a question.
yeah, go for it. Yeah, I need to drop in like 2 minutes, but yeah,
Okay,
shout me.
I'll
Yeah.
two questions. One, did you hand build all these entries, your 54 entries? And two, was there a reason you didn't put DB in any of your silver decks? Was that on purpose?
Yes, I hand built them. I tend to the way I kind of stack the lineups is like I tend to look at where my top cards fit the most. I'll build out like my top bronze deck, my top silver deck, my top gold deck, and I'll tend to sort of like get those guys built in first, and then from there I'll probably start building in the middle parts. So start working through like most to least conviction. And then I'll shift things a load. So I'll tend to look at like what the estimated scores are for the various decks. I look at your tool, I look at the HUD, I start looking at the ELO targets, like, and I start looking at, okay, are any of these just stupid? Like, are they already like way out of contention? And then I'll maybe delete them and just shift things around. And then as I kind of start drilling in a bit, I look at what's left over. Like, I remember for some reason last week, JK, I had two JKs like still sitting there, and I was like, okay, so I think he was 7 stars or something. So I was then go back through and look at what lineups were there and be like, right, I like JK because JK's like a low inflation shout. There's not a ton of supply, so people don't tend to play him um, because he's not like a super common inflation card. So then I'll start looking like, okay, of these lineups, which ones of these could do with me subbing out maybe a Pintoshi, which was maybe a similar stars, but loads of those in the play. Kind of sub in like a slightly lower inflation card, which might give me that edge. If he like does better or similar to Pintoshi, there's a good chance if I'm top 10, that could get me top 5 because maybe he'll pull in like an extra like 5% of points or something.
Mhm.
So I'll kind of work it like that. That's how I tend to do stuff. Why did I not put DB in silver? I can't remember where I ended up putting DB. I think I put DBs in gold.
Gold, yeah, you have them in gold.
Yeah, so I think that was I was I usually I usually jump between gold and elite in terms of where my best cards sit. I Why did I not put them in silver? Can't actually remember. I need to like review all the decks again. So let me check that up. I can't think straight off the top of my head without being able to see them to remember.
Very interesting indeed, as I've
Yeah.
been looking at the DBs in your deck just sitting there at the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's another scary one this week. What do we do? What do we do? Same with Thread Guy. That's going to be tough. But look, I'm glad I got to jump on and say hello.
Yeah.
And I will catch up with you guys all on Discord, etc. So yeah, I'm going to jump for the minute. But yeah, have a
All
good
right.
rest of your show. Cheers for having me.
Thank you so much, mate. Appreciate you making the time as always, and congrats again. You crushed it, man. So happy for you. Now take care.
Thank you.
And that was what they call the old Scottish goodbye. But yeah, I mean, you heard it from the man himself. He hand builds his lineups. He uses optimizers and the tooling on your website as a guide. But a lot of this stuff, he goes off a feel. It's crazy to hear that, dude. Like he just
Yeah, when you hear somebody's built a first and second place deck by feel, no algo, no whatever, that's wild.
I
That's
mean,
awesome. It shows you don't need the fancy tools necessarily. I mean, they help, but
mm-hmm.
sometimes instinct and intuition and a little, I mean, let's just say there's a little bit of luck.
Oh
But
yeah,
yeah, it's awesome.
yeah, man. I love to see it. And again, that's part. I had asked him previous to today, so I kind of knew he hand built a lot of his stuff, especially for this week. Um, and that definitely plays into my mind of why I think he is the player he is. Is that, like you said, it's gut. He kind of has a feel. Sometimes you can't explain why, but you're just like, yep, I feel good about this player for this week. It's sometimes it doesn't work out, but when it does, like you said, he earned more in 1 week than he earned in the entire month prior to that. So
Mhm.
develop your gut and trust your gut, folks. It really, I mean, that's in trading, in life, in anything, right? That is such a valuable kind of tool you have.
Yeah, one thing I would say, like, just on that note, that I've kind of made the mistake of being too focused on the numbers and the
Hmm.
trends and the history,
Okay.
and just saying, oh, well, they did this in the past, this is what's going to happen in the future. And sometimes that fails you. You need to be thinking about things that haven't happened yet, narratives, trends, meta, anticipate, and in part make that part of your equation of building decks, and don't just strictly go off averages and say that's gonna get me there.
Yep. That is perfect. Perfectly put, Molt. Like numbers and especially tools, optimizers, they're good and they help you get a really strong baseline. And I do really believe that for most people using these toolings as a support and for help, I think that is gonna get them in a better place than just going purely off of gut week in week out. But it's when you can combine the two and get a good baseline, but then make a few changes yourself, right? Use your own experience and your own knowledge of the game and of particular influencers to really fine tune things. I think that's kind of the sweet spot for utilizing tools, but not just saying, all right, the optimizer gave me this, I'm using this, right? I feel like that does take a little bit of agency out of the whole process.
Yeah, one thing that like kind of carries over, just one more note on that from like a daily fantasy sports, DraftKings, FanDuel, and building lineups there is they talk a lot about like think about the story that your lineup is telling or like the game script that you're trying to build for.
Mm,
I'm expecting like the Dallas Cowboys to win this game by this many points, and they're going to be running a lot. And think about that when you're putting your deck together, so that if everything goes right, your whole team, your whole deck succeeds. Sometimes you kind of have to. I mean, I don't know how that applies to like this week per se, but I think it's an element to consider if you know about if we had some of this chat gpt stuff just before main, like that might have helped indicate pivoting from one hero to another to build you know
definitely. I think that is a great point, right? Like there is a ton that we can take from, DFS and fantasy sports that have been going on for years and years now, a ton of strategies and wider kind of mantras that they live and die by that can be applied here. And I agree there, right? Look at your lineup and think about the game script that you need to make that a success. And if you get a very wide overarching theme for the week, but it only fits 3 out of your 5 heroes, you only see 60% of your lineup doing well under that. Maybe you want to target, change up those last two to fit into that, whatever that potential narrative might be. I think that is a great point, man. Think about the game script think about what story your lineup is trying to tell and what game script you might need for them to be successful. That's genius. You better tweet that, bro. Man, oh
I just
man.
got a notification I sold a card. What the hell was I even listing?
Oh no. Oh no, Molt.
No, okay, it's an icebergie. All right, that's fine.
Oh
I was
yeah,
like,
that's yeah.
you ever just randomly get like you bought a card, you sold your card, and you're like, what? I had a something out there.
Yes, dude, it happened to me literally last week, right after we got off the show. I got like two or three notifications in quick succession that I had bought a bunch of cards. And I was like, what are you talking about? And I went back and checked, and like a bunch of bids that I had set out the previous week had hit before they expired. But I was running around mad, and you think for a second, oh God, am I hacked? Is someone in my account? Like, just
Yeah. Like crap. Did I fat finger a bid? You're like, oh god, no. Hopefully, it's not one of those.
yes, or like, who did you list a month ago that's had a really strong month and you forgot they were listed and now, oopsie, they're gone.
Yeah.
Oh
I don't know
man.
about you, but I'm glad they have. I told Kevin, I was like, I think the default duration for bids and listings was maybe our bids was 7 days or 3 days. I was like, that's too long to leave a bid out there. You got to put it something like half a day. So I'm glad the bid is like half a day basically. And
Definitely. I that was something I was trying to, work through in the early fantasy days of bidding and just yeah, with how volatile everything is and how quickly prices shot up and cratered. I didn't want bids sitting out there for a week or even 3 days most
you
of the
know,
time. It was like a 24-hour thing, and I'll reassess at the same time tomorrow, right? So
yeah.
glad that functionality has been included, but hoping that we get custom timers we can set right, like in the future, similar to how you can on OpenSea. You can make it 2 hours, 12 hours, 100 seconds, kind of whatever you want to do, but some of that might be some nice tooling we get in the future here.
I just want the feature where like maybe you list a card that like let's say what's it, is it LRAM, MRAM con, Alliance
Mm-hmm.
guy?
Yeah.
Like you have his cards listed, but if as soon as they post, like retract the listing, like keep the card, I don't want, or like raise the price, some
Yeah.
sort of like automation based on if this hero posts, then list, or if this hero, doesn't post, um, dump or something.
That, I mean, that would be sick, getting some if then functionality, built into the marketplace, or, for your own listings that you can do. It would be pretty wild, but I would love to see that come out eventually. And I'm honestly not going to be surprised if, some of the people out there who are custom coding their own bid bots have some sort of functionality like that, where it's tied into like the Twitter API, and they're, when it sees a call like that happen, it automatically does some stuff on the marketplace for them. Man, I mean, just goes to show you, nearly a year into this game's life cycle, and still just a ton of fun things, a ton of great ideas that are out there for them, that they can work with. So no shortage of good ideas for them to then to integrate whenever they, can hire 65 more devs to help them out.
Mhm.
But yeah, man, getting close to the end of the show here, top of the hour. So I was just gonna go through, one or two heroes I was looking at myself that I might be either trying to throw out some bids for, or once we get rewards in, hoping I rip a few of them in packs. So I'm gonna start with someone I wasn't really familiar with, Merp. Merp has had a pretty strong ever since their debut couple of weeks there, where they were down at the 140s, 160s. They've been pretty solid, just about above 75, and really in that 50ish to 25 range for, really since the end of December here. So going on 3 months. Had 1 week where they dipped there down to 95, but recently 23, 34, 40, 45, 34. And yeah, whether he or she is playing into fantasy top, I'm not entirely sure, but I've seen them post some pretty funny memes, some good shit posting, a few things actually related to crypto, and a little more serious. So I definitely
Yeah, he's
think.
a
No, go ahead.
good account. I'd say he's a good account. It's a guy, I'm pretty sure. I think he doxed himself. He was skiing in Japan or somewhere.
Okay.
But he's interacted or replied on some fantasy posts and seems somewhat friendly. But yeah, he's kind of had an ascension basically of, from sort of that 50 to 100 range to like being able to really hit, top 30 uh, often now. So really, I always had, got there with that, low follower count to start, but their content has sort of uh, been more engaging.
Definitely. I saw a couple of posts. They're really right here. 5 days ago, had a post with over 100,000 views, routinely getting 45,000, 40,000, 40,000, 35,000. So really getting strong engagement on a lot of his posts. And if you look kind of in the range around him, I do think that's a pretty decent price for getting one. 0.2 for a rare, or I believe it was like 0.033 floor for a common. So definitely interested in maybe seeing if I can grab a Merp on a bid. Sorry, not Merp on a bid. And then even the one next to him, Newsy Johnson, pretty similar, has had one, maybe two-ish down weeks, but outside of 2 or 3 weeks, always above top 50, truly. I mean, it's been, he's been a hero since August, right? August of 2024, so multiple months now, but very, very strong performances, really just bouncing between 50th and 25th, and, going as high as 10th place, getting up to, 10th, 15th, 18th. And, their last month is 31, 47, 36, 35, 28, 36. So honestly, just kind of the picture of consistency there between 40 and 30. And, like we talked about with Clayton when he's on here, just getting some really strong cards like that where they're going to get you minimum, for his rare, right? Minimum 1,000 points, upside to maybe 12 or even 1,300 on a good week. So I think Newsy and Merp are two really good kind of, I wouldn't say they're super undervalued, but if they keep up this consistency for even a few more weeks or a month or two, I do think people will catch on and we'll see them rise up above that kind of 0.25, 0.3 range that we see for, NFT Nick, Trader Main, Whale Mocha, Lucas Computer, some of these a little bit more expensive but really higher tier heroes in my book. Molt, are you an owner of any Merp or Newsy Johnson cards yourself, or not so much since they're
Merp for sure. Yeah, Merp. I think Merp's a great card. I've got a common, rare, and I even have an epic because I got lucky on a Merp was my first skip level
N-
up.
no way, let's go, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah, back when he was like a top, I think his ranking was like top 5, and I got a skip. It was,
Wow, that is a hell of a skip to get.
yeah.
I've had one skip in my career, and it was for a little clear pill, so not quite as good.
Yeah. I mean, it took me what a, many level ups? Took me 89 level ups to finally hit.
Jeez, okay, I'm sitting at 41 myself, so I'm about halfway to yours. So I'm glad you got one eventually. That would have sucked to get in the 80s, 90s, or 100 and still not hit. So GG on that one, man.
Oh,
Great card to pull.
you gotta in the new Mint leaderboard on fantasy sheets, you can see it's Ponderment has the most level ups with no skip. What was it again?
No way. Yeah,
Mr. Todd. Yeah, 236 level ups with no skips.
that is brutal probability right there, man. Oh boy. Yeah, looking through it now, I just pulled up again. We cannot plug this enough. I'm pretty sure we shout it out and plug it every episode, but that literally it will never be enough. Fantasy Sheets, Molt is constantly refining it, constantly offering updates to it, new charts, new visualizations, everything you need to really kind of take that next step up from an okay to a decent fantasy top player to really being a top fantasy top player, right?
Yeah.
We've got this one so you can see really a lot better data on how many packs you've bought, what is your spend, where you bought them at price wise on the bonding curve, what your average is, your skips, how what kind of skip from common to epic, common to legendary, rare to legendary. So really great visualization there. As well as I know you also released one more update. Let me find where it was.
Oh,
Is
on
it?
the marketplace page?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not 100% built, and the whole API issues is kind of stop this. But if you go to marketplace,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it's not the most, it's not the freshest.
But it is laid out very, very nicely. I do really love it. We're seeing universal floors here for commons, rares, epics, legendaries.
Oh, you're here. Click on the little person on the bid. You pick any of the bids
mm,
down in
uh,
the table.
yep, and you can see who's bidding on it, when it expires. Oh, that is lovely.
Yeah, it's stale right now, but I'm getting, I'm getting there.
Nothing like a beautiful chart with bad data, am I right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that is not your fault. You can't control what they're doing to their APIs back there. But when everything is updated and when everything's refreshed, very excited to dig in here, get a better idea of who has the widest disparity in the bid to ask spread there, who is undervalued, who you might be able to hit on a bid that really is undervalued. Just tons of good stuff here, man. Oh, broken down by rarity, legendary, epic, rare, common here. Oh god, as if I needed to spend more of my time during the week on fantasy top molt. So thanks. Oh man, so good. Well, folks, I think we are swiftly approaching the top of the hour here, and still, I'll refresh one more time for rewards. No
No,
rewards.
it's no, yeah, it's we can leave on a note of let's see where we are. No, we have still some there's still some leagues that haven't closed out yet. So Kippett's doing something.
All good, all good. Yep. I mean, they're darn near perfect week in, week out. So taking an extra week to shore everything up and make sure it's all good. I'd much rather have that than payouts be wonky or one hero didn't get adjusted or whatever it might be. So take the time they need. It'll get sorted. We all know that in fantasy top land. So not worried in the
Yeah.
slightest. Just
I'm
just
pretty sure all the scores are final. The rankings might be somewhat changing in a few leagues, but the
okay.
scoring on the main leaderboard is final.
So you're saying there's a chance Ezran does sweep all top 10 positions in silver. I like it. Oh, well, folks, that is our day. That is our episode. Thank you for the 500 viewers that came in, hung out with us, watched us talk about fantasy influencers. Again, just the funniest thing you can say, and that be a real thing we do that makes money week in, week out. But Molt, I cannot thank you enough. I mean, the man behind the curtain. You're making it all happen. You're back there. You're deving. You're coding. You're making fantasy a better place to be. So thank you for that, and thank you for joining us on the show today to share some of your expertise, your wisdom. So yeah, man, thank you. We really loved having you.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for your show every week. Sharing, bringing in different players, bringing in the team, talking about it, promoting it, sharing your journey. I think that's great, and this is an awesome community, and just thankful to be a part of it. Let's keep it going.
Couldn't have said it better myself, man. Thank you for the very kind words. I want everyone to be involved in fantasy. It is easily the most fun I've had in crypto in years at this point, right? Since really kind of NFT mania back in 21. This is where I want to be. I want to grow this. I want to grow it with builders and people like you who are genuinely excited to be here, talented, good people. Yeah, like I know we sound like just two wholesome old guys up here, just like, yep, it's so great. But I really do feel that way. So thank you. And thank you, Checker. Very, very kind words. Have a great day as well. And I hope the Pat gods are with everyone ripping later today. And from myself, the Molt, and our friend Ezran for his brief stop by earlier, this has been another episode of Fantasy Top Down presented by Metaverse HQ. And we will see you next week.